1 week later, at a teeny baseball diamond, even dwarves would feel stifled on. The fence behind home plate displayed tatters and gouges. The infield's mud hadn't yet dried, and a musky odor of rain choked the air. Horseflies buzzed around my head. Coach Hyder lined us up. He wore a white t-shirt, blue sweatpants, and A's cap. I noticed the bushy and sand-colored mustache that curled at his lips' corners. I'd been thumbing through Mom's Playgirl almost daily, and I started to daydream those mustached and bearded cowboys, lifeguards, and construction workers clutching me, their whiskers scratching my face. I told Mom I wanted to look tough, so she had darted to the local Salvation Army store and United Methodist thrift for wristbands and a used pair of rubber cleats. She also bought the black sunblock most major leaguers smeared below their eyes. I wore the bands, the cleats, and the sunblock to that first practice. My teammates watched me as if I might unsheath a knife. Coach squinted at the new troop of Panthers, searching for defects. His gaze paused on me. Desire sledgehammered my body. Back then, I wasn't sure what to do with my emotion. It felt like a gift I had to open in front of a crowd. He told us to announce our names. We obeyed, and he repeated them, scribbling in a scorebook. Bailey, Thiazen, McCormick, Varney. He spoke with a German accent. That's a little different. Lackey, Ensminger. When he rolled his R's on Porter, my teammates silently mouthed the same name. I was younger than most of them, which made me want to try harder. I wanted to impress Coach Hyder. The players hit 10 baseballs each. Coach stood at the pitcher's mound, poised like one of the gilded figures I'd noticed on trophies in the Chamber of Commerce Hall. He cocked back his arm and pitched. Most kids hit ground balls that barely left the infield, or worse yet, struck out. I'd never seen many of them before, but I could tell they were poor excuses for players. Coach must have mirrored my feelings. "Come on!" Disgust cracked his voice. "Concentrate, watch the ball, swing like you mean it." My turn. I gritted my teeth and tried to form a synthesis of a few major league idols. I'd seen the Reds' Joe Morgan twitching his right arm before taking a swing, pistoning his elbow as if pumping blood into his biceps. I mimicked the gesture. Coach Hyder grinned. His first pitch lobbed toward me, I smacked the line drive to left field. After practice, Coach shepherded us into a dugout and began a pep talk from the center of our huddle. He summarized his initial reactions. I might as well brag. It appeared I'd be the team's star player. My fielding was as top-notch as my hitting, so Coach positioned me shortstop. "And McCormick, I think we'll bat you clean up. We need the home runs," he said, the word as if it had 3 syllables. When he leaned over to pat my shoulder, I noticed a cluster of moles, like spatters of chocolate, on his neck. A man walked toward the team carrying an expensive-looking camera. Coach lined us into 2 rows beside the dugout, and I got the privilege of standing in back next to him. "This is for our records," the photographer said. "Say cheese." "No, say yogurt." The numbskulls on the team laughed, and he snapped the picture. "Refreshments served," Coach said, and the 15 Panthers fractured the posed configuration and rushed toward the station wagon, most running faster than they had all day. Coach opened the back door to a cooler filled with cans of flavored sodas, and I fished around its icy pond and came up with a peach knee-high. The parents began arriving after the 2 hours had finished. Mom drove Alfred's pickup to the Ball Diamond. She'd started the job at the IGA grocery store on 30th Street, and she'd bought an extra house key for me. She strung it into a thin silver chain and slipped it over my neck. "Now, let me meet that coach of yours." Coach jogged toward us. He held a baseball in one palm and took off his cap and brushed it over the sweat on his forehead. His hair was blonde and thinning. "Mr. Hyder, I'm Neil's mother. I have a full-time job, and I don't know that many other moms. I was wondering if there might be a system where another Little League mom could drive my son home after games. We live on Monroe Street." "No problem," Coach said. He looked down at me, then scrutinized Mom, as if decoding her eyes' primal secrets. "I do this sort of thing all the time." He pointed toward his car. "That's what station wagons are for. Anytime Neil needs a ride, he's got it." I imagined sitting in the front seat, his leg brushing against mine as his foot touched the accelerator. "That's some ball player you've got," Coach Hyder told Mom. "He's mine and I love him." She held my hand as if it were money. Coach lobbed me the baseball. "Here's the one you nearly whacked over the fence." A grass stain on its leather resembled a screaming face. "It's yours to keep. Your trophy." He touched his thumb to the black line of sunblock on my cheek. He glanced at his thumb, winked at me, then looked back at Mom. The arms of our backyard's apricot tree drooped with wormy fruit. 3 swings and a slippery slide stood under the tree. I never used them. The poles were stripped pink and grayish-white like candy canes, and 6411 North Monroe's previous tenants had painted clown faces on the plastic swing seats. Sparrow shit peppered the slide. Years later, Mom would ask a neighbor to tear the whole set down, and I'd realize I never did slide or swing on the thing. As it turned out, Mom got more use from the set than me. The night of that first practice, I heard her and Alfred. His voice kept slurring things like Jesus priest and Christ above. After a while, I figured out his words weren't coming from Mom's bedroom, but were creeping into my open window from the backyard. I knuckled the crust from my eyes, crawled from bed, and peered out. The violet bug light crystallized everything in its somber, roomy glow. Something that looked like a bat whirled figure eights above the tree. An empty bottle of Beefeater gin sat beside Mom's portable 8-track tape player in the grass beside the porch. I could hear Freddie Ender's voice crooning the melody of wasted days and wasted nights. Freddie Ender. Freddie Fender. Alfred slumped in the center swing seat. Mom hovered over him. His shirt was pulled to his neck, his pants to his ankles. Her hands bustled in his lap. Alfred's cowboy hat had fallen off and hair curled from his head in wisps as lacy as the silk that covers an ear of corn. His body swayed back and forth, lazy and gin-seduced. His bare feet smashed apricots into the lawn. "Christ," he said, drawing out the vowel in unison with the 8-track tune's schmaltzy crescendo. Mom's head lowered to Alfred's crotch. When it lifted again, I could see his dick. It looked huge. I only remembered 2, maybe 3 of the guys from Mom's magazine having dicks that big. Alfred reached down, circled 2 fingers around its base, pushed her head back toward it. The bug light zapped, its purple flash ending the life of a mosquito, a grasshopper, something. Mom blew Alfred. I watched it all and wondered the things I've come to realize. If those personal experience stories and all the porno magazines I read are true, are common things for a kid to wonder in this situation. How would it feel to have my dick in someone's mouth? To have someone's in mine? I focused on Alfred's features. His jaw clenched, his eyes opened and closed. He talked ceaselessly during their sex. "Yes, Ellen, oh God, that feels good." Looking back, it paralyzed me to hear him. But it wasn't long after that, I became a sucker for blabbermouths in bed. I would learn to relish an older guy telling me exactly how it made him feel. Precisely what he wanted to do to me. After 5 minutes, Alfred hoisted Mom up, pulled off her blouse. Her nipples purpled under the bug light's blaze. She stumbled as he led her toward the slippery slide. He positioned her with a leg on each side, then pushed her onto it. I thought of Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster on the slanted doctor's table, jagged bolts of electricity jetting above his head. Alfred fucked Mom on the slide. I imagined myself in Mom's position. My favorite Edward Cunningham straddling me. I unzipped. "That feels amazing," Alfred murmured. Alfred pushed himself into her. Faster, harder, the usual. The slide buckled under Mom's ass on an especially deep thrust. She gasped, double pause. They both laughed, and Mom touched a finger to her lips. The zapper jolted another bug. The season's first game pitted the Panthers against a group of kids from Pretty Prairie. Pitted the Panthers against a group of kids from Pretty Prairie. That's Scott. He had won the league championship the previous year. Still, we stomped him, 13-5. I smacked a double and a triple, the latter with bases loaded. From the bleachers, the row of moms and dads erupted into applause. None of them knew me. I fantasized them wishing I was their son instead of one of the talentless fuck-ups they were raising. The game ended on a double play. The Pretty Prairie kid slid into second base where a Panther crouched with ball and glove. An umpire barked, "You're out of here!" And the crowd went wild. After the win, the losers jogged toward the pitcher's mound, then lined up to shake hands. This was a ritual after every Little League game to display sportsmanship. Each team congratulated each other, and the pretty Prairiers looked on the verge of tears. "Good game," each kid chanted as he touched a stranger's palm, but I stayed silent. This pissed off my opponents more than if I'd shrieked, "Fuck you." I glared into their faces, squeezed their hands as if they were sponges. And Coach Hyder watched me, still smiling. Coach telephoned the Saturday after game number 1. He told Mom the team would celebrate the victory by meeting at the Flag Theater on Main Street for Sunday matinee. If she would consent, he would pick me up in the station wagon tomorrow at noon. "Certainly," Mom slurred. She buttoned her IGA apron for the late shift. He arrived at our house wearing his usual t-shirt, but jeans in place of sweatpants. His station wagon smelled mossy and artificial, a scent that pulsed from a tree-shaped air freshener hanging from his rear view. On the drive across town, he asked what theater candy I liked best. I listed hot tamales, black licorice, those pastel-coated almonds that looked like the eggs of some curious bird. Mom always griped that the almonds were beyond her price range. Not Coach. "Yes," he said, his voice flustered and boyish. "I could eat 10 boxes of those." When we reached the Flag, none of my teammates was waiting. The lobby was empty save for twin girls who had held hands with a furious-looking granny. Coach didn't say anything about the rest of the team, and I didn't ask. It surprised me that he would lie to Mom, but more than that, it excited me. Coach stepped to the ticket booth. The scheduled movie, some imitation Disney clunker, didn't interest me. I only liked the more violent sort of animation. I took a chance and asked if he wanted to drive over to the Fox. I knew they were showing the R-rated Terror Train. Even then, I was a sucker for horror flicks. Coach looked uncertain, but I shrugged. Mom doesn't care. Off we went. Terror Train featured a killer who struck during a masquerade party. I relished his skill in twisting the mask off each new victim's head and slipping it over his own to fool the next victim. Coach watched me during the entire movie, but I pretended not to notice. I clapped when the murderer beheaded one partygoer, and Coach smiled. He seemed to be giving close examination to my every reaction, shorthanding mental notes. The Fox Theater's painted walls showed senoritas dancing the salsa and fringed matadors flapping scarlet sheets at bulls. Chandeliers hung from a 3 stories high ceiling. Burgundy curtains shrouded the screen, slowly brushing back as the film started. During the action, Coach tilted his head, as if spirits were flouncing among the chandeliers, but when I looked over, his gaze remained fixed on me. By the movie's finale, his head rested against the back of his seat. "You missed the last part," I said. The heroine on the screen sobbed pathetically. The killer finally bit the dust. His hand cupped my shoulder. "Let's head home. I'd bet money you're hungry." Sort of. I walked up the aisle and kicked a bucket, scattering popcorn kernels across the carpet. "Pizza, maybe." "There's a takeout place called Rocco's just down the street from my house," Coach said. "They use fresh mushrooms instead of canned. They make zucchini pizza, which I've yet to try. Plus, their slices of pepperoni are bigger than this belt buckle." He pointed to a brass horse head inside a circle between his stomach and crotch. "So if your mom didn't set a curfew, maybe we can watch cartoons and pig out and set up some strategies for next week's game." I nodded, curious about Coach's house. We stepped towards the station wagon. The afternoon sky had darkened, the air thickening as another storm swirled into Hutchinson. The clouds looked like marshmallows dunked in grape juice. Heat lightning flashed in the distance. Coach lived alone in a small house off Main Street near the Kansas State Fairgrounds. Once a year, Hutchinson hosted the State Fair, our city's major tourist attraction. Catty corner from Coach's porch, a billboard displayed the forthcoming September's entertainers. The names on the sign proved typical for the fair: the Statler Brothers, Eddie Rabbit, magician Doug Henning. September 26th, Tanya Tucker, I read. That's my 9th birthday. Coach unlocked his front door and swung it open. Directly in front of me in his living room were a giant screen TV, a VCR, an Atari with game cartridges strewn around it. Some of my favorite games dotted the floor: Phoenix, Frogger, Donkey Kong, Joust. "I'll order the pizza," Coach said. "Do whatever you want. Turn that thing on if you feel like it. Frogger's my favorite. How's pepperoni and mushroom sound?" I nodded. He disappeared into the kitchen, the slatted half doors swinging behind him like the doors in movie saloons. I heard him lift the telephone from its receiver. I glanced around the room. 3 blue beanbag chairs lined one wall. Coach had thumbtacked an Aquaman poster above a leopard print couch. The end table was scattered with Disneyland brochures and a hardback called Coaching Young Children. Other books, albums, and videotapes lined the bookshelf. I flicked the switches to the TV and Atari. Bleep, said the screen. Coach returned and set the game panel for 2-player mode. Positive your mom won't be expecting you? She'll stay pretty late at the store, I said, and then probably go out with Alfred. He raised one eyebrow and began pressing the joystick's button. My guess is you probably spend a lot of time by yourself. On screen, his frog vaulted a ravenous electronic alligator. It's no big deal. I kind of like it. School's out for the summer. I watch TV or ride my bike. We have some weird neighbors, so I pedal around and spy on them. I'm alone a lot, too. When I'm not coaching, I stay here. I mostly just like some good friends to be with now and then. Good friends like you. The screen's colors strobed against his blue eyes. He didn't blink. His frog drowned, and he handed me the joystick. So where did you learn to play baseball like that? I taught myself. I could guess the next question, so I continued. He's dead. I never knew him. I turned my head from his face to the television. Coach won both games. In the middle of the third, the pizza arrived. He shut up the Atari and spread the open Rocco's box before us like a treasure map. Wait here. He jogged to the kitchen and returned carrying a Nikon camera in one hand, 2 cans of peach knee-high in the other. He gave me the pop. I remembered you liked this stuff. You watched each bite I took, each mouthful I chewed. After I'd finished my second piece, Coach opened the door to his stereo cabinet. He fetched a small microphone and plugged it into his receiver. This might seem weird at first, Coach said. I want to do a little experiment with you. He handed me the microphone. Just start talking as you normally would. I need to record my team's voices, especially my good players. And something else too, take a couple of big slugs of that pop. Don't rush it, there's no hurry. And when you think you're about to burp, tell me, and I'll record it. He fingernailed the switch on the camera flash, and a high-pitched squeal filled the room. I swallowed a breath, uncertain what Coach was doing, but having fun nonetheless. I had snagged his attention. I'm ready, I said. I belched 3 times over the next 5 minutes, and he taped them all. I spilled some peach knee-high on the carpet. Its fizzy puddle looked like battery acid, and I tried in vain to wipe it up. Shit. When Coach heard me say that, he grinned. Good, he said. Keep that up. Say shit again. Say goddamn and burp a few more times. I obeyed. I even said fuck once. That seemed to impress him. He knelt down and hugged me, my face even with his stomach. I could feel curly hairs through his shirt, a miraculous breath swelling inside him. He brushed his chin against the top of my head. I like you, he said. Coach stood again. The tape continued recording. In between my giggles and cuss words and burps, he snapped photographs. For most of them, he instructed me to look up at him and smile. I stuck out my tongue in one picture. He fingered its pink tip. I tasted the salt of his skin and clicked the shutter. For another photo, he made me push the microphone between my lips and close my eyes. Oh, Neil, that's perfect. Click. I couldn't sleep. Alfred and Mom were fucking in the next room. I tiptoed to the bathroom, locked the door, stretched out in the tub. The porcelain stung, as frosty as a glacier. I slipped my underwear to my ankles, grabbed my dick, and lifted my forearm to my lips, feverishly kissing my skin as if it were someone else's mouth. Thunder rumbled from outside, and Mom's bed springs squeaked. The sink's faucet dripped every 5th second. I squeezed my eyes shut, but this time I didn't picture the men from Mom's magazine. Someone else stood over me. He dropped his camera and bent down, unbuttoning and unzipping, his face moving toward mine. I heard Alfred mumble an incomprehensible sentence. I mouthed the word, Coach, tonguing furiously at my arm, grating my front teeth against my skin. When I woke, my mother's knuckles were drumming the bathroom door. Are you alive in there or what? I pulled my underwear up, covered the purplish mark on my arm, and stumbled out. The 2nd of July, 1981. Mom had been appointed to work a double shift at the IGA. I feel like a slave. There's got to be something better, she said. She hugged me, her arms wrapping around my body, her fingers aligning with my ribs. I thought of the way Coach had hugged me and wished Mom were him. I know you're going to beat their asses tonight. I predict 4 home runs. Mom kissed me between the 4 and the home runs. I thanked her. At 7 p.m., the baseball diamond would feature the Panthers versus Hutchinson Taco Hut, who'd lost every game for the past 2 years. Coach will drive you home, I guess. I love you, love you, love you. Don't you ever forget it.